I thought it was quite an appropriate video to do. I'm at Eyam, where the Black Plague came, and the people actually isolated themselves, self-isolated, so they wouldn't spread it to the rest of the country. And I think it came in here on a posy, probably from London or somewhere. I haven't been to Eyam for about 30 years, and somebody's just said to me it hasn't changed much in 30 years. But I've got some photos, but I thought, you know, a video is far better than photos. So I'm just going to say one thing. It's pretty certain that the Black Death was a really nasty plague, but this lockdown's based on a PCR test. Instead of testing at 25 cycles, they test at 45 cycles, so it just basically, one day you'll test positive and the next day you'll test negative. So there's a little bit of difference between the Black Plague of 1666 and the COVID-19 84 thing at the moment. So and Rainer Fulmich, the German Californian lawyer who proved 3 frauds, which was Volkswagen emissions, Deutsche Bank selling land above the real estate value, and also a shipping concern. So he won those 3 fraud cases. He's now on with proving that the PCR test was a fraud, and once he proves that's a fraud, the whole lockdown, the lot, is a fraud. But I think that's pushed back to November. So I'm going to take you through Eyam village and show it you. But my mate lived here, and I stayed here somewhere when he got married as well, in a nice place, and I'm not sure which one it was, but it cost me a fortune. But if you ever come to Eyam, there are plaques around on the houses telling you about things. It's a very narrow village. The original road I used about 28 years ago has been shut down. They couldn't be bothered to repair it, but when you think about it, we pay a lot more in road taxes now, about 70% road fund licence, sorry, tax on every gallon of petrol, and then road fund licence. So somebody quite famous died there, Richard Furness house. I think it's that house rather than the one behind. Lovely buildings like this dotted all around here. Don't know what that was, whether that was an old pub at some stage. Looks like one, but probably not. It's called Little Edge House. It's quite easy to park on streets around here. It's not being hammered by tourists around here. It's very quiet and peaceful. There's hardly a car driving through it. The youth hostel's just here, and I actually stayed in this back in the early 80s when I was with the Venture Scouts. We did a hike around the Peak District. I think we spent more time in the pubs. You can see there's a modern house being built here, and this starts to, I believe, kill the character. I'll pick out any historical points that I can see, but I think you get an appreciation just watching the video. I would recommend a drive up here. They still have a post office, that's a surprise. So that's Eyam courtyard. There's car parking on my right hand shoulder, where I've walked right to the top of the village from where I parked, and I'm walking back down. Said there used to be stocks here for punishment. I know who are having those stocks at this very moment. Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock, Dominic Cummings. Some information about the village just here. In fact, I can see the stocks. I didn't see them before. Just across from here is Eyam. Now, I stayed in a nice hotel here, and I'm not sure whether it was at Eyam or somewhere else. I used to stay at my mate's house, but when it was his wedding it was a bit packed at his house, so I stayed in somewhere else. I'm not sure if it's here or another place, but wherever it was nice.
Is it all Marianne Hand or Mummy Family?
Surprise, surprise, cancelled.
Which way are we going?
Now I came here school trips in 1970, and I can remember looking at these plague cottages, and they put a little sign on them. So that's Rose Cottage. And I also show the other cottage, Plague Cottage. And what I'll do is I'll stand across the road and take a pic, show you. I'm sure there was a pub here because I'm sure I came out one night with my friend. So there's Eyam Church. Sure they were pretty busy in the plague times, 1666. And they have done an analysis of deaths over the last 5 years, and the number of deaths this year is no worse than the last 5 years. So if you actually analyse the data just doesn't match up with the headlines that you're reading in the papers or seeing on mainstream media. There's a Celtic cross here, dates back to the 8th century. And what you find out with these churches, they usually put on pagan sites. So all the churches seem to have pagan origins, and that's probably because people are already celebrating pagan gods. So what they thought is, we'll just put the church there and we've got a captive audience. So that's 8th century AD, Celtic cross. That's long before I think a church. We'd have seen a Saxon church up there, could be wrong on that. But my advice is to people, get out and enjoy yourself. Take your own sandwiches and drinks with you, because I won't be using any establishment that tracks and traces me or uses any anti-social distancing. Look at that. You can see it on the floor, another mass, they're everywhere, and we're in a lovely village called Eyam, and people are still throwing things on the floor. It's not like where I live at Dinnington, where you expect that sort of loutish behaviour. Very few cars passing through it. I say that and then they all seem to come at the same time. Like I said, I'm sure there's a pub here, but I've not seen it, and I thought it was near the church.
Beautiful that house, isn't it?
There's plenty of notice boards around the village. Tell you a bit about it. This looks like the main shopping area at Eyam.
No, they're not.
There is the Miners' Arms here, but that doesn't ring a bell with me. And normally I came in on this route here. You can see the road is closed. It's been closed a long time, so it shows you how long I've not been here. It was quite a handy little road out of the village up here. Like I said, we're paying 70% tax on every gallon of petrol, paying nothing road fund licence, and they're shutting roads down now. When there's far more car drivers, more justification for the roads than when they were actually built in the first place. This is where my mate lived, in one of these. Just here. If I'm right. In fact, it was one of these. And it's the reason I got a log burner. Well, one of the reasons I have a log burner, because it had a lovely log burner in it. So I lived in one of those just there. It's a 3-storey house. Downstairs, bedroom on top, then a bedroom on top. I think the stairway actually came through the bedroom. When it was windy, you could certainly hear the wind. I'm not going to go any further up there. That's sort of going back out to the countryside, and got council type houses up there. They're not the lovely cottages you get actually in the village. So it's probably the Miners' Arms I went in, but it doesn't ring a bell with me, the Miners' Arms. And I'm assuming that's after the precious metals they dig up in the Peak District. I'm going to have a look down one more road. It says Miners' Arms Croft there. More people who died in 1666. In fact, my memory serves me right. We had the Great Plague, then London got burnt down. And the Great Fire of London from Pudding Street. I'm sure it's changed a little bit since I've been here. People who live here probably don't notice the change. For over a 30-year period, it looks a lot more commercialised than when I used to come here. So this is sort of the heart of the village here, with the tea shops, pub and small bus station by the looks of it. Just checking off there's nothing down here, and if there isn't, I think that's it. My quick tour of the Eyam over. Yeah, I'm going to call that the end of Eyam. So that's it. I advise you to pop up here. It's free parking on the streets. Come Monday to Friday when it's not too busy. Bring your own flask and sandwiches, etc. If you don't want to go through track and trace or anti-social distancing like I don't. So that's it anyway. I hope you enjoyed that quick tour of Eyam village, the plague village, where the real plague was. Not the PCR pandemic plague.